Guys, welcome to the channel, and in this case, I'll be reacting along with you folks to the announcement on fabrication, building, and construction from CitizenCon. Before we go on, a few very important things. Listen up. First, if you try to play right now, the PU doesn't work. It is just terrible. Servers are awful. The patch was already very bad. If you've been following my channel, you already knew this because I told you so. So it shouldn't be a surprise if you've been following the channel. By the way, follow the channel. Also, don't try finding another solution. There isn't anything. You will go in Spectrum and you will be told this and that and bullshit that does not fix a damn thing. It is not you, it is them. They are the ones. I had the same problem yesterday, went for a walk with a wife, came back, tried later, and then it worked. You just can make things worse by changing things in your PC and your software that should not be changed because it's not you, it's them. The only thing you may want to try is log out, log back in. That is it. Don't mess with anything else because the amount of stupid, terrible advice you will see from CIG and from the shills is terrible. And about shills, another very important thing I need to explain. You need to understand what a shill actually is. I'm not a shill. Shilling involves tactics of deceit, lying, tricking. Usually it was someone pretending to not be related with a company, pretending to be an actual real customer and talking well about that company. These days, shilling is basically lying so as to benefit a company. I don't do that in case you haven't noticed. I'm pretty honest about what this is, what is not, and how bad or how good it is. And by the way, if you want to play Star Citizen, I will say it yet again. Go use the referral that you have there in the description of the video. That is my referral. It's not anything great that you get from it, but you know, if I'm going to get eventually a ship out of a number of referrals, I will use that in the channel. So yeah, it is useful for making these videos. Why the hell would you benefit one of the actual very real shills out there that are trying to do kind of like the same thing, I guess, and are not even giving you honest advice on what you have? Now, if you want to start playing, not only use a referral when you create the account, buy the Titan. The Titan with a referral, that's the nicest combo right now, especially with a 25% discount. Later, the discount will not even be there, so take advantage of it. If after watching everything that I have in the channel, you decide that you still want to get into a game that as of right now, it's almost impossible to even play. Having said all of that, let's get to this.
You've logged in and you've done your thing, you've gone on adventures, you've fought some Xeno threat, you've mined some barrel, apparently a whole lot of
orgs. We even played the first chapter of Squadron 42 live.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How great was that?
No.
Yeah?
Cinematic mostly.
Few minor glitches, but nothing we can't sort out. So today, we got something just as exciting to talk about. But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build. With crafting, we're going to give you the tools to create your own loot, to build your own home. Crafting will fundamentally change not only how you play the game, but why you play the game. So, what is crafting? Why does it matter? Why should you be as excited as I am about this? Well, first off, crafting is a profession. It requires its own set of tools, the knowledge of how to use them. Crafting offers progression. You become a better crafter by learning new blueprints and upgrading them. Crafting builds on the existing gathering professions.
He says profession twice.
When you would go out and you collect your materials for crafting, we are adding new depth and meaning to those activities.
Progression.
Crafting provides customization. There isn't just one way to craft something. Like I said, we have upgrades. How you make and upgrade the things you craft is sometimes just as important as what you're crafting. In addition, you can earn cosmetic upgrades, craft unique items, even subscriber flair. But nowhere is this versatility more obvious than base building. We're going to have nearly limitless options for how you construct your home, how to customize your base to meet your own goals. Most importantly, crafting gives you a lot of new choices. The choices will impact your goals in the game, your interactions with other players, and eventually how you see the game itself. So where do we get started with crafting? Well, you can't craft without materials. Luckily, we've got a lot of ways to gather resources in the game. And crafting is designed to complement and expand on all of these existing gathering professions, as well as future additions. Let's take a closer look at mining as an example. We've got hand mining and vehicle mining and ship mining. That's a lot of mining. But with crafting, we're going to introduce a lot of materials. So there's not just more to mine, but we're also going to specialize. So for instance, each type of mining will have its own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining.
You know what would really, let's talk for real here for a second now. You know what would really be the right way to, if you have a skill that you can actually develop, and the more you mine, the better you get at it, and the more you mine, you retain a skill by which you get a higher quality product, either more valuable or more useful. That's what a real developer would do.
Currently, only mining resources can be refined, but doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources. With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create process materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items, weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships. Right?
Yeah, I want to make an Aurora MR. Yeah, that's what I want to make too.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted gear that you create has the potential to be better than anything you can buy in a shop.
Yeah, better ship.
But crafting just isn't in with shiny new gear. Think much bigger. Crafting enables you to build your own home among the stars.
Are these people stupid? Have they not been lied enough already? I guess not.
You choose to make a farm, a hunting lodge, an industrial complex, your own trading hub, a military outpost, even a sprawling town with your friends and...
We don't even have quantum travel working right now. What are you people talking about? They cannot figure out quantum travel right now. We don't have a move all button. We don't have a sell all button. We cannot sell the ships that we actually bought in game. Stop lying.
Org mates. Got a lot here, but it's all optional. You can choose to focus on gathering resources and sell them to crafters that need them. You can skip gathering and refining and just focus on being the best crafter you can be. Or you can leave all that gathering and crafting nonsense to other people and just focus on trade and make some money. But that brings me to my last point.
How much?
Player choice matters. When a player makes a choice, they assign value. Players' choices about crafting and base building will drive player trade. The community's choices will determine the value of the materials and the crafted goods you can all make. The game will still have its own shops and economy alongside players, but now you'll have more options about where you invest and how you prosper. Now, I've given you a nice overview of what we're working on here, and we have a lot more planned for the future. But now that you're familiar with the big picture, I want to introduce some of my fellow developers to come up on stage. They've got exciting details to share with you about the specifics of our new crafting systems, important gameplay improvements, and most exciting, I think anyway, an update to base building.
An update? We don't have it. We don't have any of these things. In fact, you don't have it because you're just showing still images. Unless now he actually shows proper gameplay, they don't even have this. They have not even developed it at all, apparently. When is it that you'll get this? Never. They've done this same bullshit for years now.
To start things off, please welcome Jacob Taylor to the stage.
Always new people. They cannot retain talent. Talent just flies away.
Thank you, Rick. And hello, CitizenCon. Hi, I'm Jacob, Senior Gameplay Programmer on Crafting. Rick has showed us how crafting will link into a lot of existing and new gameplay, but I think it's time we get into some of the details. I'm going to tell you about the new game mechanics we're introducing, starting with blueprints. Before you can craft anything, you'll need a blueprint. Blueprints provide the recipe to perform all kinds of crafting processes, including refining. You can acquire blueprints through various activities. Some you can buy, some you can find, and some can be unlocked or earned in other ways. You can also upgrade your blueprints through research. We'll go into more detail about what this means a bit later. So, blueprints are the recipe, and Rick already told us the materials you gather and refine will be the ingredients. But there's a bit more to it than that. We have a new concept for materials: material quality. Quality is a property we're adding to all resources you can gather. That's an abstract measurement of how good it is at being whatever it is. You can think of this as the purity of a metal, or the ripeness of a fruit, or something along those lines. This quality will be carried forward from raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting. High quality is more desirable overall, but is more rare, and there are still important uses for low-quality materials. More on that later. All raw materials you find in the verse will have a quality rating that's generated based on some rules, the same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday. You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities, so you might want to explore to find the best. Some materials that are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality. But what's quality for? It's for item stats. Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stats system to the game.
It's a gun they've been talking for years.
This will allow relevant properties of craftable items to be affected by the quality of materials used to craft them. For resources, just a single quality rating is sufficient to provide variation, but craftable items have such diverse purposes that we need a more detailed system to provide both progression and customization options. We aim to have meaningful item stats for all craftable items, but some examples would be the damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog. So, as I said, the quality of materials will directly affect the item stats, such that higher quality results in better stats. Most items require multiple different materials to make, which may each influence different stats. And in many cases, you'll have a choice of materials to use, which lets you decide which stats to focus on to tailor your items to your playstyle. Here we see I'm making a gun with high-quality aluminium, giving me a nice bonus to integrity and weight. But someone sold me low-quality copper, so I don't get as much fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality. Making high-tier items requires more advanced materials, but is also how you access greater choice as to which stats to improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and Tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
These are all things already exist in video games for decades now. We have to be, and it's not even in game. It's not even close to being in game. They cannot even show us them doing any of this. They just talk, as always, about things that they wanna maybe do one day or not. We just don't even know. We cannot even trust them at this point.
But you can also craft vehicles.
Yeah, it's gonna take you like 200 hours of mining to buy CI Spirit. Basically, that's the idea. That's what these seals are clapping.
And vehicles are so important that they will go up to Tier 5, providing a way for you to really invest in making your favorite vehicles excel. Of course, many of you have already bought your favorite vehicles, so you don't really need to make them from scratch, right? Or maybe you've pirated, salvaged, or otherwise commandeered a vehicle. Not to worry, you can still benefit from crafting by using an upgrade blueprint to increase the tier of an existing vehicle, including...
So I'm calling it because you're making a spaceship and this is a sim, not for normies. You will have to spend like 6 months gathering resources to build something that you can buy for $100 in the store. That's gonna be how these guys go about this. Of course, with wipes, because hey, you cannot expect to actually keep it, right?
Including the usual stat improvements and customization. Upgrading a vehicle can save a lot of time over crafting it from scratch, so it's a convenient way for established vehicle owners to bring the benefits of item stats to their fleet. Let's take a look in-game at the difference it makes to have high-tier equipment made from high-quality materials. See how the recoil is reduced on our high-tier gun. The spooling is faster on a high-tier quantum drive.
That's what you're showing in game. Not actually showing the... No, you just show...
And a high-tier scraper beam is much more effective.
He didn't show a damn thing. He just showed something in which a number was changed. And that's what they used to make it. These are... It is so depressing.
So, that's an overview of crafting's key game mechanics. I'll now hand over to Torsten to walk...
That's an overview of crafting key mechanics? You just showed us crafting? No. You showed us faster mining, faster scrapping. You showed us faster spooling, which already had, well, up until now, when you had different quantum drives. And you showed us still images of things that you say you will one day do. Now, I'll eat all of my words if you give us a specific date of when this is in game. If you say that everything that he just said, which is cool, that's nice. When is this in game? Never? No, okay. So never, right? I'll eat my words if he says when he's...
through the full crafting process. Thank you, and have a good day.
Never. That's the answer, as always. As always, never is the answer.
Thank you, Jacob. Hi, I'm Torsten, lead system designer of the CGP system design team.
Oh, okay, so it's over. That's why we got it in crafting. That's where we're clapping about.
We now saw all elements of crafting looked at individually.
Okay.
Let's bring them in order how you, as the player, will experience the crafting profession. You will start with acquiring the correct blueprint.
You already said that. You show us the same images.
An optional catalyst can speed up the process further. Let me give you a simple example. If you want high-quality steel, you need to put in the best iron you have in the primary slot. You can put any quality coal in the secondary slot without affecting the quality of the steel. But the quality of the coal will influence how much of it you need to produce steel. Player-owned, that can be in your personal hangar, a vehicle, or your base. As all that we have talked about just now, these crafting machines also come in tiers. Here, the tiers will affect how well those machines do their job. You will not only progress in the products you produce, but also in the infrastructure to produce your ware.
If this ever makes it in game, and that's a giant ass if, those things you will have to buy it. You will have to buy it in the website or craft after 12 months of gathering ore and minerals and tongues and whatnot. They will make it so you are, as they do everything else, they will make it so you just give up. I'll just give up on the fucking idea, and you will have to pay 50. I mean, it's a machine that makes shit. So $50, $100, $200 for the bigger one. Mark my words, that's if they ever end up doing this, that's how they will go about it. And of course, you can just spend your entire life making the thing in game that will get wiped, or just give up and pay $50, $100 or so.
Just to give you an idea what you will encounter, here are some examples of the crafting machines. There is the nutrition fabricator, the chemical fabricator, an item fabricator, and even fabricators of a much larger scale we will talk about later.
Yeah.
Grow over time. You are free to be a generalist crafter, a specialist, or something in between. Pick the blueprints you care about and be the best. Have an exotic shield generator that no one else has the blueprint for but you. Help others and earn credits while doing so. It is a real profession in the game that will benefit from your dedication and attention. As you can tell, crafting will have a huge impact on everything in the game. Even if you do not want to get actively involved, at some point you will stumble over a weapon that got crafted.
They will never do this. They cannot figure out the basic economy. When they try to mess with it, they failed. They cannot figure out the basic economy of buying, selling, supply, and demand. Do you think they will? They will not. They do not care about having a work. They just talk about things, shamelessly so, things that they never plan on implementing. This is something that you will never see in game. You will never see a real economy in this. As they do things now, they cannot figure out the game basic, how it works. You will not see an economy impact by your crafting.
By someone else, and you will be using it. People will start selling their crafting goods or the refined materials or even the raw materials for the sole purpose of fulfilling the demand created by crafting. Players like you can become well-known specialists that are sought out to get certain things crafted from. With the ever-expanding game we all love, we will continuously expand our crafting to offer you long-term progression that involves the entirety of our game. And you might have guessed it already, but there's one more thing that crafting is the foundation of, and that is base building. I will now hand over to Luke. Enjoy the second part of
Jacob and Thorsten. We can explore how crafting is the foundation of base building. Up until now, everything in the game we made for you. From here on, we will give you the tools to...
From here on, like today, you can go and start building bases today. Fuck, I was so wrong. This is awesome.
Build your own stories, your own homes, and truly make the universe yours.
Make the universe
Join me
great again.
On a journey on building our own habitable home on Pyro.
On Pyro, okay.
Keep in mind that the following footage is work in progress, including its UI, design, and visuals. And we're super excited to share this with you.
Okay, so all of the bullshit so far, they have nothing of that to show. So it's all years and years away, if ever. This is probably something they have a little bit of actual actual movement on. Okay.
We found a beautiful location by a lake. This is where we'll build ourselves a home. To do so, we need some resources and the construction graph card. The construction graph card allows us to survey the land, claim the land in a lawful system, and it allows us to build structures. As we've already found the location and don't need to claim land in lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress.
So it's fucking Starfield. We have finally Starfield levels of building something. That's nice.
A survey drone that deploys from the top of the cart gives us a controllable augmented view of the land. In the new structure mode, we'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous. But in the final product, this will take you quite some time.
Years.
We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside. As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? We can improve this by providing the building with power. Let's see if we can build something that helps us out. But before we dive into more building, let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first structure.
There's nothing to admire, my man. It is
And I wonder
basic.
what Declan was up doing there. Keep in mind that base building is still work in progress, but what you're seeing right now has been recorded directly in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode. Okay, enough. Back to base building. In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance. If a structure is not maintained, it will halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here. That should do it. Let's see if we got power in the building now. As you notice, some of the crates in the background have disappeared, as their content has been consumed during the construction process of the buildings. And it looks like Declan is now hooking up the power to the building. I wonder what he was up to earlier, though. Wow. Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've decorated the place. We made it our own little home. We hooked it up with power. I would say we have a place that we can live in. It might not be much, but I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you.
All right, it is something. When? The question is always when.
Now that we have a rough understanding of how base building works, let's dive into some of the specifics of what we just saw. The construction graph card is one of 4 devices used for base building. The graph card is a mobile device that lets you construct a variety of small structures and has been designed specifically to fit into the smallest ships, like the Drake cutter. The graph card allows us to survey the land, to find a good location, to claim the land with credits when we're in a lawful system, like Stanton.
Credits,
and,
not money? Okay.
most importantly, it lets us build structures. To use the graph card, we will first need to deploy it. Once deployed, we see 2 small construction drones inside the card, and the interactive screen gets revealed to us. From here, we can deploy the survey drone from the extended top part of the card. This survey drone gives us a bird's-eye view of the surrounding area using augmented reality mode, ER mode for short. Let's have a look at some UI concepts of how this augmented reality mode will look like. Here's a concept of construction ER. From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity? Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first...
They don't have any of this made in game. It's not, if they had this working, they would show us. Just like they showed you, like they place the box, which is, I mean, that's an afternoon of work for CIG to do that. They don't show you the way in which you actually claim the land. That's what they obviously don't even have at this point.
First structure. On the left-hand side, we can see that we're now in structure creation mode. Underneath that, there is a list of structures that we can build. Once you have chosen a structure, you'll drag it onto the terrain, that will be shown then as a physicalized hologram. From here, you can move and rotate to find the perfect position for your structure. Now that we have chosen a position for our structure, we will need to supply it with crafting materials. Just like the crafting interface that we saw earlier, this is where you choose the materials, and the better materials you choose will result in a better structure. Once you're ready, we'll hit the craft button on the right bottom to send the construction drones printing to the buildings. The automated construction drones will take off from the construction graph card and fly to nearby resources. Okay. And power, what can we do next?
That's straight out of
Then we can actually upgrade our structure. Structures can be upgraded from tier 1 till tier 3. The better material you and found in the universe. It's up to you to define what you want this space to be. Decorative ER is not exclusive to you, or anyone settling in Pyro for that matter, may want to lock their furniture into place, so that only you and your friends get to rearrange your decorations. And best of all, decorative ER is not exclusive to base building and can also be used for personal hangars and ships.
So you won't have ships flying around anymore? Yeah.
Eddie, Brandon, Jack, Dan, Mark, Shao, Stefan C, Dom, Stefan T, Carl, Joel, and Rob for your efforts and dedication.
Drones compared to the grav carts too. They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small. So we're going to set ourselves a goal before we do a video, and we're going to create a base that's capable of crafting something that's bigger than the item fabricator can handle. It's been a bit of a spoiler already as to what it's going to be. So to kick us off, I've called in the help of a friend who has a specialized, not yet revealed base building vehicle, and he's built us this. It is the construction hub. This has 4 automated drones compared to the GravCarts 2. They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small. Automated drones are capable of building 1 structure each simultaneously, so 4 is quite a big advantage. We'll pop into our construction AR and we'll get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together just so we have a place to call home before we begin. All right, there we go. So we've settled on one of the brand new underground resource deposits and we're about to exploit it using this. It is our extractors. This particular one is a large solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on. We have our output grid here where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground.
I want to emphasize on this. These are the same people that as of right now, they cannot have a working game. They cannot have the game that's been here for years to work. Quantum travel, if you have a ship that has multiple power engines, it just doesn't work. You can only fly around. If you can log in, you cannot even log in. These are the same people that now want to make you think that all of this will be working in-game soon TM. No, it will not. You will most likely not see any of this ever. Right? Keep that in mind always. It is a game that is now worse than it was last year. They took away things that you had. And then they're going to make this. They're going to do all of this that they say. They're great at saying things. They're not good at all at doing things.
And it is important to note that once these things are set up, it's not a case of just free resources forever on key structures like this.
Enough bullshit.
Base is really starting to build up now, but it's worth me mentioning again here that whilst we're putting these buildings down instantly in this video, large structures like this, they will take some time with the automated construction drones, but the smaller scale base we saw in the previous video, that can be done in a single play session. Here, we'll deposit an item on freight elevator A, and then we're retrieving it on freight elevator B. There is a distance limit, but you can daisy chain the elevators together to extend that, and it has to all be contained within the same base.
What is it?
You can also give them access to existing structures, which is how you can form your org storage using those freight elevators.
You're fucking morons.
Within can be listed for sale at a price you deem reasonable. This includes resources, refined materials, and so on. Using the terminal, visiting players can browse what's on offer, purchase, and then collect from that same freight elevator. The second method is to set up a physical shop in the world. By using the decorator AR we saw earlier with Luke, you can maglock items and then list them for sale. Once again, browsing players, they can see the price of the maglocked item, purchase it, which then removes the maglock. Of course, the nice thing with physical shops is you can genuinely make it feel like a store. You can put items on shelving. You can even go as far as to make your own ship showroom. You can advertise your wares on a MobiGla pass for UEC. However, it is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain it. Maybe you want to spend your time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead.
These guys don't even play the game. We don't have beacons anymore. They don't play the goddamn game.
Shops mean that you can benefit from the players who do want to spend the time making those bases or crafting those specialist items, and then you can purchase them from them, which is very important because crafted items using high quality materials will be the most powerful in the game. On the flip side, if you do specialize, maybe you end up cornering the markets for a particular item or resource, and your shop will then turn into a hotspot of activity, making you loads of credits. Some of you will become infamous because of it. But bear in mind, a successful shop also depends on location. Do you want your customers on edge in Pyro, which tends to have the higher quality materials? Or do you want to spend time hauling them all the way over to safer systems where your customers can be more at peace? We've talked about selling items. Let's sell the look of your base. We have foundation tiles, which can help you divide up the foundation decals, which help you divide up the foundation tile. You can place them freely wherever you want, and they just help.
There is no way in hell the current engine that cannot manage the existing game as it is manages to do this. There's no way. That's why they cannot even show it. It is impossible that the engine... So you're going to be making Star Citizen yourself, basically. That's what they're saying. You'll make your own bases, your own cities, and people... No! They cannot make the thing work now, as it is. This is all a fucking giant lie.
We mark up areas like, I want to use this place for cargo, I want this for housing, vehicles, and so on. You'll be able to earn paint in-game and apply them to buildings.
They lied about this years ago. Still does not exist. Years ago they could have done this. They haven't.
As well as add your own custom text, so if you're part of an org, the blue buildings that have your name are definitely yours. We have some forms of base building which are either still in the design phase or early white box, but we want to share some details. First up, we have farming and ranching. Farming, it comes in two general types. We have our low-tech farming and then high-tech. Low-tech consists of you acquiring the seeds, planting them in the appropriate environment. If you remember back to yesterday, the Brave New Worlds, we had soil types and such now. That will play a part. As well as supplying them with nutrients and then just harvesting them when they're grown. High-tech, it's a bit more involved because you've got to make the hydroponic buildings we see here, but in return, you'll be able to grow exclusive strains of plants. Ranching will allow you to keep herds of animals. You'll have to provide them with feed, water, and shelter, but in return, they will provide you with produce. Not every animal can be ranched. I don't really see a sandworm ranch anytime soon, but the quasi-grazer will, of course, will. Not yet. Maybe. No. We have a few more additional archetypes. We have landing...
If you think that this is possible, you deserve to be scammed. You honestly deserve that. If you think you cannot have a bunch of soda cans on the floor at the same time and the game just dies. The engine dies when you have that. You think everyone will be building their own cities? It is just impossible. You will not see
garages, roads, fencing, as well as new variants of structures which we've seen today. For instance, the power generator, there'll be solar power, fusion, geothermal, as well as the XL structure class. If you remember, everything we've seen today, the biggest we've seen today rather, is large. XL is larger than large. And then you have your defense. So, in lawful areas, you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, Pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your own defenses. These come in the form of perimeter walls.
This reminds me of like video games from the 80s or 70s where you saw this and it was like a pixel, right? It was there comes the tank. I mean, the box of the game, right? The box of the video game had some art like this, and then when you move, it was like a square with 2 pixels. And it was that was the Atari type of tank. That's the art that you had in the cartridge. The game was, this is exactly the same thing. We are being treated as worse than children. We're treated as children from the 80s.
Shielding, which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel.
Yeah, talk more. Lie to me more.
To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can of course have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost, high chance of better quality materials, but no security to fall back on. A small cabin in the woods can be great to set up in a single play session with short build times. However, the large base we just saw will take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how big you want to go. You might want to embark on this endeavor as a team or an org. You can set up a base as an org and own it as the org. For this, there will be permissions available, and you can assign roles and tasks. Ultimately, base building can be your main gameplay loop or a supplementary one, depending on what it is that you value. On that final note, I would like to say thank you on behalf of the crafting and base building teams. We've been very excited to share with you some of the work so far and the vision we have for these systems. But before we go, we have one final video.
The vision. So it's a vision. No release date on any of this, of course, nothing. Another cinematic. Okay, great. More cinematics. Enough lies, enough bullshitting. No, you will not do any of this. No, you will not have sprawling cities made by players. Again, this is a game in which they could not manage the art of the move all button. This is a game, this is a company that nerfed your tractor beams just to sell you a fucking robot for $45. This is the same company that has made the game worse than it was last year. And we think that this is real? You're a fucking idiot if you believe that. See you later, guys. Take care.